Hello. What time is it? 3:30 on a Sunday. I don't know how many people I'm going to get in this live. So anyway, we're going to give it a go anyway. Okay, I'm just waiting for people to turn up while we're waiting. I'd love to know where you're from. I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. So where are you from? Where are you sitting right now? Might not be where you're from, but where are you right now? So where are you? Glad to see you. You're in Vancouver. Oh my God. Oklahoma is where I'm at. I don't know where that is. I'll look it up later. I know a lot of the states now. From doing these lives, I'm learning a lot. Kitimat, BC. I think I've been there. I can't remember. When we travel, generally we go far away from home, so I don't know much about my own area at all. But anyway. Okay, so I've got someone from Oklahoma, Sour Lemon Pills from Oklahoma on YouTube, and Kitimat, Kayla. Never seen Kayla spelled that way. That's cute. Oh, okay. So Oklahoma is, oh, by the way, it's freezing rain here too. We're above Texas, and to our left is Arkansas. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So you're right above Texas. Interesting. Okay, so let's get going with your parenting questions. Something that I've started talking about, every so often stuff comes up and I go, oh, I got to emphasize that more, is I know it's a real trend right now to praise your children. You're wonderful, you're special. That's not their love language. Praise, it's okay, added to the other stuff, but their love language is fun. So a lot of parents tend to overpraise and underplay. Play with your kids more. They feel more special and more loved than when you're playing with them in their world than any other time. That is their love language. But yeah, parents tend to overpraise and it just goes in through one ear and out the other. You're wonderful, you're special. Will you play with me? No, I don't have time, but I love you and you're very special. How does that make them feel as opposed to, hey, let's get down on the ground and play this or whatever. You see? See the difference? Yeah, their love language is fun. Okay, where do you post the questions? Here in the chat. I don't always remember to look down at YouTube because I don't get a lot of people on YouTube, so I sometimes forget to look down there. But I put my camera closer, so hopefully I'll smarten up and look at YouTube more. Anyway, so I've got my webcam for YouTube on top of my camera, and I'm on Facebook right now. So I'm on YouTube the whole time. All of my lives are saved on YouTube, but I go from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok, but the whole time I'm on YouTube. Okay, I'd like to say my relationship with my youngest has become so much closer and gaining such a better understanding of each other. Getting on his level rather than expecting him to be on mine, which was a huge mistake on my part. Don't go back and think what you did wrong. Just move forward with the right stuff. I know parents do this all the time. Yeah, I was talking to someone the other day, actually a friend who said they were watching some of my videos, and they're a grandmother now like I am. And she said she can't even watch my videos. It makes her feel bad about all the mistakes she made when her kids were growing up. She's a wonderful mother. She's done a great job. But yeah, that's not why I'm here. I don't want you to worry about the stuff you did in the past. Just move forward. I just want to go on about this one a little bit more. I just talked about it. But remember that most parents overpraise and underplay. So praise is okay, but they'd rather you play with them than praise them. A lot of parents get stuck in this. I know it's really trendy right now to tell kids how great they are. And that's great. I did that too, but I focus more on fun. Their love language is fun, not compliments. They would rather you play with them than tell them how great they are. Okay. It has made me feel completely guilty. Let it go. Let it go. You know how I deal with this all the time with coaching. When I'm coaching is one-on-one with me, and whenever I'm taught, and they say, every time I listen to you now, I just realize all the mistakes I've made. I say, well, that's not what we're doing here. I'm not into past problems and past mistakes. I'm into tomorrow's solutions, and I'm into all the positive stuff. I don't like to go down that guilt trip. So yeah, let it go. Let it go. It's just going to get in the way. But how is that going to serve you and your children? Worrying about what you did wrong in the past. That's not going to serve anybody. It's just kind of a waste of time. We all do the best we know how. You were doing the best you knew how. Not the best you could, but the best you knew how. So everyone does. No one's handed a kid in the hospital and says, I'm going to mess you up. Everyone does the best they know how. So now you're learning how to, and I do that with tons of stuff, especially in my business. I have to learn stuff I never wanted to learn. I don't like business like business and finance and money and admin stuff. I hate all that stuff, but I have to learn it. So I look back at all the money I lost and all the mistakes I made just through mistakes, not understanding. I'm not, what's that called? Money smart. I don't have the wisdom about financing and investing and all that stuff. And I'm in my 60s now. It's just not my thing. I'm a very good saver. I'm not a spender at all. But I just don't understand. I'm not, what's that called? My financial intelligence is right down the toilet. But I'm getting better, and I'm not going to feel bad about the mistakes I made in the past. I've made lots of them. Okay, so yeah, just move forward in a positive way, because guilt's just going to make it worse. It's not going to help. Okay, so I'm here to answer your questions if you have any. And I talk about leadership all the time. I've got a whole bunch of stuff coming up. I can't tell you what it is. I've got it all laid out for the next 6 months. But anyway, one of the things that I want to focus on in this live in particular is, what is leadership? I talk about leadership parenting all the time. Leadership is about you, but leadership is about bringing out the best in your children. It's not about you looking good. It's about bringing out the best in your children. Because you think about all great leaders in the world bring out the best in people. They get the best results out of people. That's what leadership is. But with parenting, it's a little bit different. You don't just necessarily want the best out of them. You don't want them to get, your focus isn't straight A's for them to be perfect and obedient little soldiers at all. You want them to have high self-esteem, confidence. You want them to like themselves. That's the way I look at leadership. It's you give respect to get it. That's why you're on that behavior board. You've got to be accountable. You give respect to get it. That's what I teach, leadership parenting. Leaders are accountable. If I made a mistake, my kids were very fast to point it out. And I had to make amends. So, yeah. I remember once my son was a teenager and we were laughing at all the stupid stuff I've done as a mother. And we're laughing. And I said, what about all the great stuff I did? And he went, what? They love your mistakes. They just gobble that up. How do I tackle swearing at an 8-year-old? Use the behavior board. It's completely free. Go in the description on YouTube or the link here in Facebook, whatever it is. Anyway, there's a link there and it'll take you to the behavior board. You have to sign up for the newsletter to get it. It's completely free. And it'll teach you how to give respect to get it by you being on that behavior board too. So your child's rule, your 8-year-old's rule is no bad words. Okay. And then there's a consequence. Check out the behavior board. It explains how you do that. Okay, I haven't been on here for a couple days. I've just been so busy lately. So kind of feel, if I'm not on, I used to be on here religiously every single day, and I just haven't had as much time lately. When I say religiously, I wasn't praying while I did it. You get what I mean. Okay. Yeah. Madison Evans, what consequences do you recommend for a 3-year-old? I use make bed, help unload dishwasher, dishes, etc. That's all you do. You just get them to do a good deed. It's usually a chore. Don't get caught up in the consequence. The punishment doesn't always have to fit the crime. It's just you did something bad. Now you have to replace it with something good. Don't get caught up in it. Don't overthink. You're overthinking the wrong thing. Don't worry about the consequence so much as you following through with it in a calm, business-like manner. All discipline is done in a very calm, business-like manner. There's no anger ever, and it's very quick. Get it out of the way. Discipline is you deal with bad behavior, and then you focus on the good kid. The bad behavior is the discipline. So you meet their needs and manage their wants. The managing the wants is the discipline. But meeting their needs is all the connecting and bonding and having fun with them. That's where all the gold is. That's really what the focus is here. It's not about discipline. It's about having fun with your kids. Their love language is fun. Okay. I think this is a continuation of that. Yeah, I don't want to use something that's one day going to be expected as a consequence. Okay, don't get caught up in that. Parents say that all the time. Well, I don't want to use a chore. Like one day I'll expect them to make their bed. I don't want to use that as a consequence today. Don't worry about that. Don't ask me to go into that. But don't worry about that right now. If you want me to go into it, I will. It doesn't matter. You know, it's the exact same thing. It makes sense to us that we shouldn't do that, but it doesn't matter in this process with kids. It does not matter. So what you're punishing them with today, one day down the road, you want them just to do as a chore, that's fine. They're practicing now for down the road. So don't get caught up in that. Another thing that's very similar to that is when parents, you have to be on the behavior board too. So when you break a rule, your consequence is playing with them for 15 minutes, hide and seek or something. It's always in their world. And parents say, you mean my punishment is having to play with them? Aren't they going to be insulted? I've been doing this for 17 years. Not one kid is not thrilled that their parents is playing hide and seek with them for 15 minutes. They don't even think that punishment, who cares? They're just so thrilled you're playing with them. So not one kid has ever taken that and been offended by that and taken it the wrong way. Interesting, eh? But I can see how parents would be like, I guess, like a couple. You know, if your spouse lies to you, he has to take you out for dinner. Like, what? That's a punishment? You see, they don't take it that way. Kids don't. I can see how we would, but kids don't. Yeah, you have to spend 15 minutes talking to me as a punishment, but kids don't. They just don't. So they're not exactly like us. They are and they aren't, but they don't. That doesn't matter to them. They're just thrilled that you're playing hide and seek. Okay. Okay, Kayla. We have now the no yelling rule, and my consequence is playing with him. Perfect. It's amazing how far we have come. It has taught me to also slow down and take my time with him. Yes, now, I keep talking about this, and I just wrote it down. But parents are just so focused on praising their children, telling them how wonderful they are, so they overpraise and they underplay. Playing with your children is gold. That was my power when I worked with kids. I used to say my weapon of choice, because I used to mentor hundreds of kids, little kids, teenagers, and they were all, challenging. And my superpower was fun. I used fun with little kids and humor with teenagers. So it was always fun, enjoying them, bonding with them, connecting with them. I didn't have any leverage. Like, I couldn't take TV away from them or something. I was just their mentor at school or something. So yeah, but I would stop playing for a minute or two or something. That's what I took away. I took away Fun Lisa. So that was my leverage, because that's all I had. So yeah, I understand the power of bonding with kids and connecting with them. That is your superpower. Because think about it this way: when they like themselves, when they're with you, you bring out the best in them. They're having fun with you. They're going to want to please you. They would never be rude to you. It would be embarrassing to be rude to you. You're like a fun mentor, like a fun coach, like a sports coach. It would be embarrassing to be rude to you. Like, I never heard "I hate you" or anything from my kids. They would have been embarrassed to do that because I was so respectful toward them. We were friends. They would have been, but I was very much mom. I was the leader, but we were still friends. And yeah, they would have been embarrassed to say something. Why would they say that to me? I remember my son was 15 and he says, "You've been a difficult mom to have. I could never rebel because you're too reasonable and easy to talk to." And I'm like, "Oh, sorry." Like, leadership is about bonding with your kids and connecting with them more than anything. The discipline is a part of it, but it's a very small part. Okay. Okay, what if my kids sleep in my bed? They won't stay in their own room. They say they are scared, so I give in. Yeah, okay. So check out, I do have a whole course on that. It's called Bedtime Battles. And there's 2 parts: how to get them in bed and then how to keep them in there. And it is hell. If you've got several kids, you might want to do it with one kid at a time. I'd start with the oldest one first. Yeah, some families, they do. It's best if you can do them all in one night. But when you read through the course, you'll understand why. I give you a bit of a pass and say you might want to start with the oldest one first. But when I'm working with someone coaching, we usually try and do both, 2 or 3 at the same time. But anyway, yeah, it's tough. But anyway, check it out. It's in the link above, the Bedtime Battles course. And by the way, on 2 of my courses now, 2 of my toddler courses, I've got one more video to do. I forgot about that. But anyway, I've got videos throughout my tantrum course now and my boot camp course, and then my potty training one. But I got the very last video I haven't done yet. I didn't like the way the last video I didn't like, so I'm going to redo it. So I took it down. But anyway, so yeah, all the courses will have videos soon. And you can always get access to them. A lot of people ask me, when you tick complete each section, you can still go back and look at it. Yeah, you're not locked out of it. Five-year-old, new behavior where she's throwing tantrums. That's unusual that they start tantrums at 5 years old. I would want to investigate that. I'd want to figure that out. Is something going on at school? Has something triggered? Something must have triggered that. Because if they start having tantrums, it's usually, if they're going to, they usually have them from day one. If they're going to have tantrums, they start when they're babies. You know how they stiffen when you don't feed them quicker enough or whatever, that they start right away. But sometimes at 3, they find their power. But at 5, and they'll start acting out at 3. if you're not a leader. If you're a leader, they get easier. If you're not, they get worse. At 3, they find their power. They go, oh, wait a minute. So they figure stuff out. But at 5, that's unusual. It's a new behavior where she's throwing tantrums. I couldn't even guess. You'd have to hire me to assess that. I have to figure out what's going on there. It's an unusual age to start having tantrums, is what I'm saying. So I don't know. I'd have to investigate that. If you want to hire me, check out the link above wherever. Okay. Whoops, I got to scroll ahead because people come and go, and it doesn't scroll automatically for me. Yeah, I love how people ask these questions as if it's unusual. This is from Samantha. My 2-year-old will not stop hitting herself when upset or I say no, right? A lot of them do that. It's really common. I've tried trying breathing or allowing alone time or ignoring or telling her no. Okay, I have a course called Toddlers Who Hit, etc. So you might want to check that out. But basically, you're just restraining them from hitting themselves. If a child is, even if they're having a tantrum, I always say you ignore a tantrum, you still do, but you physically restrain them from hitting themselves, hitting someone else, or damaging property. Basically, aggressiveness or being violent. But you still don't look at them or talk to them. And you're doing the breathing and all, and that's in the mini therapy session department. You're trying to reason with a 2-year-old who's upset, and it's not going to work. Yeah. You can try it, but okay. Well, this one's interesting. Delaney Moss. 3-year-old who purposely pees in their pants, not an accident. She thinks it's funny. Usually only ever with me. Can I discipline for that? No. I'll tell you why. She knows better, and it's so frustrating having her pee or poop herself on purpose and then laughing about it, and seems to develop a random fear of toilet, even with her potty seat on. You can never discipline for bodily functions. Sorry, but you can't. I know it's a bad behavior. You just can't. If you start, don't. I'm not going to go down that path because I could go on forever with that one. You never punish bodily functions, even though they're using them like a weapon, right? You know, they're using them just to get on your nerves. So I'm wondering what kind of parent you are, because that's when you're a leader, that kind of stuff just doesn't happen. I would suggest check out my boot camp course, and it's all about you becoming a leader. When you're a leader, they just don't do stuff like that. They just, because their gut reaction is they want to please you. When you're a leader, they want to please you. And you want that when they're little. When they're 3 to 12 years old, that's kind of what you're after. That's the height of your leadership, is 3 to 12 years old. That's why the boot camp goes from 3 to 12 years old. I know a 3-year-old's very different from a 12-year-old, but your parenting is very similar. You're the leader, and they need that. They need, crave, and want a leader. If you're not a leader, they're going to be very vulnerable out there in the world. They're going to be very vulnerable to peer pressure, bullying, the drug dealer on the corner, the internet, the Kardashians. They're going to go searching out leadership somewhere else. It's a natural instinct for a child to want a leader. They feel safe when they've got a leader. So anyway, yeah, I'd get my leadership set up first, and then if she's still doing it, then you might even want to hire me on top of that. But my guess is she's just trying to control you. It's my gut reaction. I could be wrong because I don't know all the factors there. Okay, my kid is constantly, oh no, that's a DJ Smokey. I need the age. That's on YouTube. I can't answer that without an age. Are they 16 or 6 or 2? Okay, after my 9-year-old has her tantrums and I ignore her. Okay, after my 9-year-old has her tantrums and I ignore her, letting her cry. When she comes back to normal, I don't know how to treat her. I am so upset with her. Oh, okay, this is what you do. So you ignore the crazy and reward the calm. A tantrum is not bad behavior. It's a loss of emotional control at not getting what they want, when they want, and how they want it. So once you understand that, okay? So it's a loss of emotional control. It's actually not bad behavior. I know. It seems like it is, but it isn't. If it is a true tantrum. Anyway, so, and then as soon as they're finished with the tantrum, say, oh, you all done? Do you want to read a book or something? That's how you treat them afterwards. You show them that meant nothing to me. You can't control me with that. Yeah, and you ignore the crazy and reward the calm. Attention is reward. So she's having a fit, 9 years old, having a fit, having a tantrum. As soon as they calm down, oh, do you want to read a book or something or go for a walk? No, I hate you. I hate you. Okay, never mind. And then ignore when they calm down again. Ready for that walk now? It's a powerful technique, very powerful. Stay calm. You're showing her that I love you, and as soon as you calm down, I want to connect with you. But you're not saying, hey, you're all done now. Let's go have a party. You're not like celebrating it. You're just like connecting. How does that sound to you? Does that resonate with you? Do you understand? There's real psychology behind that. How does that sound? Does it make sense? You ignore the crazy and reward the calm. So as soon as you have to get, you said, I'm so upset with her. You have to get over that. Don't show it. If you show it, she won. She's in charge. If a kid had a tantrum and afterwards I went, I'm so upset with you. I can't believe you acted like that. It's just a disaster. You've gone off the cliff with her. But if you go, oh, you all done? Okay, do you want to go to the park? Want to go for a walk? And then calm as anything, as if it never even happened. You never discuss the tantrum before, during, or after. What you can do is if they did something bad during the tantrum, they threw something and broke it. After they've calmed down, say, I'll tell you what, you broke the remote control, so there's going to be a consequence for that. Okay, do you understand? Do not discuss the tantrum. There is no point whatsoever. Some people say you have to, and a lot of people argue with me, but they're wrong. Never discuss a tantrum before, during, or after. There's no point. None whatsoever. And once you're a calm leader, it calms them down. The tantrums go away when you're a leader. They just do. You said, I agree with everything you just said. Thank you. Very helpful. Oh, no one's ever said that to me. Actually, I love it when people argue with me because I know I'm shaking things up. I'm like, oh, there's another convert I can get. You know, like I love shaking things up. So that's what I'm here for. Because I'm up against a real strong movement. I call it the pleaser style parent. It has things like this in it. You don't want your children to ever be upset. You're always trying to please them. You want them to have participation awards. Heaven forbid you should say the word no to your child. You're raising self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. They're going to be adults one day saying, you didn't validate my feelings. Well, I'm just a bus driver, lady. Like, that's what you're raising. It's a disaster. That's what I'm up against. And things are changing because people realize that's garbage. So they're realizing it was a big mistake. All that stuff, that mini therapy sessions discussing all their big feelings and big emotions and all that stuff. And you don't ignore their feelings, but there's a time and a place for it. It's just a total disaster. I've been watching that for 30, 40 years. I want to hire you. Go on the link above, and everything's in the link, wherever that is. I don't know where it is. I don't do my social media stuff, so I don't even know what it looks like. But I mean, I talk, but I don't post it. So it's in a link somewhere. Go on my website. It's all on there. Okay. Three-year-old twin girls, one will pretend to hit or make a sound like she's going to hit. The other very dramatically falls to the floor and starts crying. Who do I address first? So they're not hitting and they're not, is she crying? Like, it sounds like a bit of a theater to get your attention. Now I have too many questions I'd have to ask. Like, what kind of parent are you? And how do you feed that? Because you must feed that. At 3 years old, you've got to encourage for that to keep happening. So, yeah, there's so many things I want to say, but I don't know where you're coming from. So I don't want to throw too much at you. Like, I would probably say, never mind. I'd probably use sarcasm, but then my kids would understand that, and your kids might not understand that. They're only 3. So guess I just have to repeat it to myself a few times. Yeah. You got to, I go off the cliff. Everyone goes off the cliff when they hire me. I always say, if your kids go off the cliff, and they're having a tantrum, a fit or a scene or whatever, and you get upset with them, who's going to pull you back up? I stay on top of the cliff. I went to pull them back up. Don't go off the cliff with them. Think about it this way. Have you ever had a boss or a teacher and you do something wrong? Do they get mad at you, or you just say, okay, here's what you're going to do. They sort of guide you along to make the good choice or do the right thing, right? That's what a good leader does. And that's what parents do. That's what parents want to do. That's what they should be doing. I lose track of the ages. You said she throws a pillow at me. I don't know how old she is. I don't know. And I don't know the situation. Okay, well, you got a foster child, you're potty training. Have you taken my course? I can't comment on what you're doing if you haven't. Like, I have a whole course on potty training. So I can't comment on what you're doing because it would be like me teaching you someone else's methods. See what I mean? Like, it's a whole system that I teach. So, yeah, I can't comment on that. Okay, it has been, oh, this is such a good one. Just a sec. I got a few points I want to make about this. Okay, it's been difficult. This is from Kayla. It's been difficult saying no to my 13-year-old as he now has been testing his limits and giving us attitude where he never has before. I know why. I don't want him to rebel, and I want our relationship to stay strong. What would you say if your teen started to give you attitude? Well, that has nothing to do with him. That has everything to do with you. Have you adjusted your parenting to adjust to having a teenager, or are you still trying to parent him like he's 9? So I've actually got my 3 top tips for parenting teenagers. Actually, they're my favorite age. These are my top 3 tips for parenting teenagers. Teenagers are easy. It's parents not adjusting to teenagers is the problem. Okay, you got to change the way you parent. Number 1 is listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. Keep your mouth shut. Parent, they do not want you saying, here's what you should do. They're going to shut you out. If you get really good at this, I call it silent listening. Use these more than this. They're going to tell you everything. You're going to be a safe place to land. And when they when they tell you everything, they don't give you attitude. They just don't. Number 2 is you negotiate pretty much everything with a teenager. It goes something like this. Hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper. What do you want from me? It's not a blanket statement. You don't do it with everything, but do it with as much as you can. So it's a give and take. You negotiate pretty much everything. You can't just expect them to do what you want all the time. You got to listen to them. They're going to tell you what they want and what they don't want. It doesn't mean that you give in to everything, but you want to have an open discussion. Number 3 is don't sweat the small stuff with teenagers. Don't micromanage them. If they make a mistake and it's not a big deal, say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? And laugh it off. We all make mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes. You save your energy for the big stuff if you even need it. So teenagers, they're actually my favorite age. But the problem is parents do not understand how you have to shift and change your parenting because you're the leader from 3 to 12 years old. That's my boot camp, 3 to 12 years old. It's all about your leadership. You're at the height of your leadership. They look to you for pretty much everything. They want to please you. Teenagers, you want them to become their own leaders. You got to start passing the torch over to them. And they're going to make mistakes. They're like student drivers. They're learning. They're going to make mistakes. They're learning how to be their own leaders. You're there as the backup leader. Take more of that role. And plus, I never told my kids what to do. My mother never did. I remember I was tiny and I would go to her with a problem and I'd say, Mommy, what should I do? She always answered the same way. Well, I don't know. You're a smart girl. You can figure it out. And then we'd talk about it. I always thought I was coming up with my own solutions. I never felt my mother was telling me what to do. She was guiding me along. I looked up to my mom. So what she said mattered because she never told me what to do. She was always guiding me into thinking for myself. So with teenagers, that is extremely important. Plus, you don't know everything. My teenagers, my kids, even little kids, they would say something to me and I go, that's a good idea. Maybe I'll do that. Like I was very open. I'm very open to ideas and listening. So take that attitude and they won't rebel. My son was 15 and he says, I could never rebel because you're too reasonable and easy to talk to. He was mad when he said it too. I'm like, sorry. Okay, go clean your room. Rebellion, and he never did. So rebellion taken care of. Got to give him something. I gave him a dirty room because I'm real fussy. If you've been watching me for a while, I'm not OCD, but I am very fussy. And but I never put that on my kids. And also, I gave them their rooms when they were teenagers. I said, fine, do whatever you want with your rooms now. I'm not going to expect that different level of, clean. So, but I had 2 rules in their rooms. No food or drink in there and no dirty laundry in there. Because I said rats could be building colonies in there. That was my only 2 rules with their rooms. And, so it's not your teenager, it's you. Are you yelling at me yet? I used to mentor troubled teens, and I learned a lot. They probably taught me more about the parenting than anyone ever did. Because I'm not a teacher, a psychologist, or anything. When I mentored kids, I was mothering them. So it was like a mothering role. And they taught me more about all this than anyone. And they're the ones, the troubled teens I worked with was the one, they said, you got to teach this stuff, Lisa. No one's ever talked to us like you do. They felt respected. And when they feel respected, and enjoyed too. I mean, I like being with them. When you're having fun with them and using humor and all that, they would never be rude to you. It doesn't make any sense. They would be embarrassed because they look up to you. Oops, I gotta go. I gotta go to Instagram now, but I'm on YouTube the whole time. So if you want to join me over on Instagram, it's Bratbusters Parenting. If not, check out the link. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, and or you can hire me for coaching. Videos are being attached to all my courses now. If you've already bought them previously, even like 6 months ago or whatever, you can go back and take a look. You can always get access to those courses, even if you've marked them off as complete. So happy parenting. Sorry, YouTube, it just takes me a second here. Okay, where am I going now? Instagram. Instagram is my busiest live. It's weird because I've only got 200,000 followers on there, and that's my busiest live. And on TikTok, I've got way more followers, and it's not as busy. It's interesting. Instagram loves lives. I can't figure out social media. Okay. Everyone's coming in. Everyone comes in a clump in Instagram. It's the only platform where people come in all in one group. It's like you all live together and you go, now. It's weird. It doesn't happen anywhere else. Okay. Oh, someone asked me a question on YouTube. You're a nanny. I don't discuss nannying. I teach parenting, so I'm very strict about that. What if I gave you advice that the parents didn't like? So, yeah. Oh, someone asked about, have you watched Barbara Colarosa? No, I don't. I'm extremely strict with myself. I don't know what anyone else out there is teaching. So if I'm insulting something, I don't know who's teaching it. So I'm kid taught. Kids taught me everything. I've been working with kids for 52 years. They taught me everything I know. So yeah, I haven't got a clue who's out there. I've never read a book on kids or parenting or anything. Kids taught me everything. So yeah, I don't know what anyone else is teaching at all. If I want to know more about kids, I go work with kids. I go right to the source. Plus, if you're going to follow someone for parenting advice, and this is really good advice, actually, it's just like dieting. You got to pick one source, because if you were to mix up different diet things like, oh, she said that, he said that, it's like parenting. It's like a method. It's got to be used together. It's like a system. So like if you were to throw timeout into my method, my leadership stuff, it would tank, because I think timeout's mean. And I teach giving respect to get it. So I think timeout's horrible. It's humiliating. Teaches them nothing except how to feel like crap about themselves sitting in the corner. That's all it's teaching them. Hey, I'm crap. I'm sitting here because I'm a piece of crap. I hate it. So if you were to pick and choose what you like from different parenting people or experts or whatever you want to call them, you got to pick, just go with one. And then go with that person for 3 weeks or whatever. If it's not working, go, well, say, oh, she's stupid, and move on to someone else. Also, there's 2 criteria that I would look out for. If you're looking for parenting advice, make sure that they have these 2 criteria. They have to have finished the job with their own kids. If they haven't lived with teenagers and raised them to adulthood, how can they teach parenting? How do you know if what you're doing when they're little, how is it going to pay off down the road? Because a lot of stuff, they build resentment. You're building resentment. And a lot of people don't know that. They find out later on. Anyway. So that's one. They have to finish the job with their own kids. Second one is they have to work with hundreds of kids. I didn't learn much with my own kids. It was all the other hundreds of kids I worked with all sorts of challenges and stuff like that. So yeah, those are the 2 criteria. Look out for that. So, and then if they've got those 2 criteria, then give them a go. And also, if you're not resonating with me, move on to someone else, because you're not going to do what I say anyway. So you're wasting your time. I want you to enjoy parenting and get the best results possible, whether it's with me or with someone else, doesn't matter to me. I want you to get really good results. I want you to enjoy parenting as much as I did. It was the most fun I ever had. I'm a grandmother now, and I always knew I wouldn't enjoy it as much as parenting. And the reason is, it's not my kid. You go, oh, she's adorable, and then you have to hand it back. How is that as much fun as parenting? I got to keep them when they were mine. So I love her as much as my own kids, but it's not the same. And everyone used to say, oh, you'll see when you're a grandmother, you'll see. Wait, you get to hand them back. And I always was thinking, no one enjoyed parenting as much as I did. So maybe that's why they're saying that. It was the most fun I ever had in my whole life was parenting. And then with a grandchild, you have to hand it back. Ugh. Yeah, okay, fine. Mom, can I have my kid back? Yeah, whatever. Okay. She's precious, but she's someone else's kid. I don't get to live with her. I always knew I'd feel that way. And I do. Okay. 20-month-old daughter throws, dumps toys, how to stop teacher to pick up. Okay, use the toy rotation system. I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Because they only have, if they have too many toys out, that's what they do. They dump them all out. They walk through them. They wade through them. They're like swimming through the whole room because they don't see anything. They can't focus. They're overstimulated. There's too much clutter. Okay. So get a toy rotation system in place where you only have like 5 toys out. Keep the big stuff out. Like I kept blocks, and you never put away stuffies or anything that's comforting. And I always kept all the books out. And then the huge stuff I kept out. But all those other toys, they were all gone. They maybe had 5 of those at any given time. So whenever I'd say, what's going on there? Okay, I know. I got people here for dinner tonight. I'm vegan, but I've got meat in my pressure cooker for other people. So I'm not pro-vegan. I just happen to be vegan. Anyway, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, here's my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1, child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2, set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. I just mentioned that. Number 3 is when you want to connect with a toddler, you don't do it at the nail salon. You enter their world. Play hide and go seek. Go to the park. Roll down the hill with them. Enter their world. It's the start of your leadership because you're connecting with them in their world. That's when they really get it. They look at you differently. Number 4 is stop with the mini therapy sessions when they're naughty. It's consistent corrective actions. They're not about words, okay? Toddlers are all about actions, not words. So again, it's entering their world. Respect them enough to enter their world. Don't expect a toddler to find their inner adult. That's what those mini therapy sessions are all about. Use your words. All that patronizing garbage, it's ridiculous. Okay, be more like me. Grow up. You saying that to a 2-year-old? It's ridiculous. Okay, so disrespectful. And number 5, stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They've got 1 marble and some tumbleweed in there. Okay, imagine if you've only been in the world for 2 years, and that first year you were a potato laying on a mattress. Okay, they're just forming. Okay, they may even go like this and smear poop on the wall. Make sense out of that. They just don't make any sense yet. They're just forming. I love parenting. I hope to get to raise my kiddos too. Well, my daughter lives a 5-minute walk from me. My son's 40-minute drive away. So I think it'll be very different because I'll have like daily access to my daughter's kids. So I think that'll help. But yeah, to have to hand it back, it's great. It's not like I really want to take it home. That's my kid's kid, right? It's just not the same. So glad to hear you say that. I feel the exact same way as a new grandma. There should be a whole movement around this because everyone's saying, oh, grandma, it's way better than grandparenting is the best because you get to play with them and hand them back. Hand them back? How is that good? Like, I never understood that. And then people are always trying to correct you. Wait till you have them. You'll understand that patronizing stuff. It's like when I used to talk about being a mother, I remember saying, it's going to be the most fun I ever had. I can't wait. Well, Lisa, it can be quite a lot of work, and they're just full of crap. It was the most fun I ever had. So I always knew I was going to love all this stuff because I knew how to get respect because I already worked with tons of kids before I had my own. I knew how to get that pesky discipline out of the way, get that mutual respect going so I could just relax and have fun with them. People used to say, you're so lucky you got the easiest kids in the world, but anyone who knew me, I put the work in. I earned that respect. Okay. I don't know if you're the same one who asked this, and it is a good point, but I'm gonna go like that. Okay. You said you tell a child to get dressed once or twice, and then if they don't do it, you do it for them. Doesn't that take away from learning independence? Independence comes later. Right now, you want them to do what they need to do. Not like independence comes secondary. So you're putting independence ahead of them doing what they need to do. You see? So yeah, I would say, okay, time to get dressed. We got to go to school. If they don't get dressed, I'm in there putting their pants on 1 leg at a time. So yeah, eventually they will learn. They'll get to a certain point where they do not want you doing that. So, but independence is a secondary priority. So yeah, you're putting the independence before them knowing that they got to do what they got to do. So yeah. It's like, what was another one? It was just like that, something like that. They were putting the wrong thing first. What was it? It was very similar, exact same thing as independence. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, just focus more on them learning that they got to do what they got to do. My 4-year-old is having a really hard time listening in general. Do you have any tips? Well, I don't know what's going on there. Do they have any challenges, like, like attention deficit issues or something like that? I don't know. If not, set yourself up as a leader. They listen to leaders. They just do. I've seen it. Yeah, I've spent hundreds, probably thousands of hours in classrooms supporting teachers in all different ages. And I'll tell you, when you get a leader for a teacher, all the kids are listening. They just listen to a leader. It's just the way it is. And then when they get a teacher who tends to yell and isn't as good at leading and all that, the kids are all over the place. So yeah, when you're a leader, they listen. They just do. It's like attitude. People always want me to fix the kids' attitude. I say, are you a leader? If you're not a leader, their attitude's gonna suck. When you're a leader, their attitude comes after that. They will respect you and their attitude takes care of itself. They listen to a leader. They have a good attitude with the leader. They don't tend to say no to a leader. They just respect you, and because it's mutual. I don't teach dictatorship or the old-fashioned authority style. That's not at all what I'm talking about. It's giving respect to get it, because they want to please you because you're a leader. They don't do it so they don't get in trouble. They do it because they want to please you, because they look up to you. You're like a mentor to them. They admire you. They like you. They feel good about themselves when they're with you. Give your kids the gift of high self-esteem. Leadership does that. Children feel safe with a leader. Their self-esteem skyrockets when they've got a leader for a parent. They feel great about themselves because leaders know how to have fun and connect with them. When you say you were a leader, does that mean you show how you do it first? Do what? No, leadership is just, this is what has to be done. We're all going to be doing it. And they just tend to follow what you say. It's just the way it is. They just do. Like, I don't remember my kids ever saying no to me. They must have when they were little. They had to have. But I know I have no memory of ever telling my kids to go to bed, get ready for school, do homework. They just understood you got to do what you need to do before you can do what you want to do. They just understood that. Leaders just guide. So no, you don't necessarily have to show them. You mean something like how to clean a window? If it's something they have to learn how to do, yeah. But if they already know how to do it, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't. 2.5-year-old boy, very busy, lots of emotions. Yeah, they're just toddlers. Don't try and figure them out. It's just a stage. Whenever someone hires me and they've got a toddler and then older kids, they rarely ask about, and they rarely talk about the toddler. And I'll sometimes say, just so I can tell you this, I'll sometimes say, oh, you got any problems with your toddler? And they'll usually say, nah, they're just toddlers. They understand it's just a stage. They'll learn eventually. Is this a 4-year-old? I'm going to say it is. I don't know. You put the ages when you ask questions because I don't always connect the names with follow-up questions. I can't remember who asked what. He doesn't want to do simple tasks sometimes like clothes on and getting in the car. Advice, if that's the 4-year-old, set yourself up as a leader. Remember, we're never fixing kids. It just says to me you're not a leader. Their behavior between the ages of 3 and 12 years old, their behavior is 100% a direct result of your parenting. A direct result. If you're a leader, there's no problems. Their behavior is 100% a direct result of your parenting. Anyway, check out my boot camp course. That's what it's all about. It's all about you and your leadership. If you're a leader, everything falls into place. You lead, they will follow. Teenagers are different. When they're 3 to 12 years old, not under that, because they're just toddlers, they don't make any sense yet. 3 to 12 years old, they want to please you. It's a natural instinct to want, need, crave a leader, and then want to please that leader. Because a good leader makes them like themselves, brings out the best in them. You don't want obedient soldiers. That's stupid. My kids had a voice. Believe me, they told me what they were thinking. But if I did something they didn't like, I heard about it. And I would often change something because I'd go, yeah, you're right. I was too tough with that. Yeah, you're right. Okay. So yeah, they had a voice. So yeah, we're not fixing kids. He's not doing things because he doesn't respect you. That's all that is. It's always about the parents. Parents don't want that for some reason. They don't want, it's interesting. Parents, not everybody, but a lot of parents want to blame their kids instead of themselves. Like, really? You'd rather blame your kids than yourself. You'd rather make your kids responsible for their behavior than you. It doesn't make any sense at all to me. I can't even wrap my head around that. Like when I was working with kids, if they acted out under my care, under my guidance, I always went, and this is a kid, maybe I had 1 hour a week, and they were handfuls. I never got easy kids to work with. If they acted out with me, I always said to myself, what am I missing here? What am I doing wrong? And I had them an hour a week. They weren't even my kids. Leaders take responsibility for their children. That's what a leader is. They take responsibility. So if your kid's acting out, look in a mirror, fix yourself, teach yourself. Check out my boot camp course. That's what it's all about. It's about teaching you how to become a leader in 5 weeks. By the way, that course, if you bought it previously, you can go back and check it out. It's got videos throughout the whole course now. All of them will eventually have videos. 2 of the toddler ones have videos now, and the other 2 will soon. Best way to handle when a 2.5-year-old purposely pours, dumps, throws food. Don't let them have any. So if a toddler, this is what I would do. If a toddler is in the high, they have to be in a high chair sitting at the table. I never let kids walk around with food. I think it's awful. Anyway, they have to sit at the table and eat their food or drink whatever. So, and if they throw anything, I'd say no. And I'd throw that in the sink and then I'd hand feed them. And I would not let them touch it after that. I hand feed them. Are they going to have a fit? Yep. Are they going to eat or drink anything? Probably not in that sitting. That's okay. Every fit, scene, and tantrum is an opportunity for you to exercise your leadership and for them to learn a lesson. Okay, so you're like this. No, you threw it, so no. For the rest of that meal, do not let them touch anything or hold anything at all. If they won't eat, just say fine, wipe their face and their hands and then put them down. They can come up in a half hour from now, they can try again. You let them touch it, let them pick it up. If they throw it again, do the exact same thing. They'll eventually learn. Some parents say to me, but they love being hand-fed. How do I stop that? Because they love it. So I don't want to be hand-fed. I say, get real stupid with it. This is what I would do. If they wanted to be hand-fed all the time, I would go like this. Oh, and here we go. Oops, mommy dropped it. Oh, well, silly mommy. I'd get real slow and stupid with hand. And they'll eventually give me that, and they'll just feed themselves. So yeah, I get real stupid with it. Like I don't know what I'm doing. I don't remember I have no idea who this was, but I was doing this with a kid. It wasn't my kid. And I was doing this with a kid and they wanted to be hand-fed. It got to be a game that Lisa was hand-feeding me now. So what I would do is I would go, and here we go, because they were throwing food. So I was hand-feeding them. And here we go. And and then I'd go, oh, I forgot to call someone. Oh, and they'd be like this, trying to get to the food. They learned. They ended up feeding themselves. If you look angry, you're always going to lose. Leaders don't get angry. Leaders are very calm. My son used to say, if my mom ever whispers, run. That's when I'm disciplining. I talk real slow, real quiet, and I get very serious. I go, no, I didn't like that. Here's what we're going to do. Do you understand? That's how I discipline. And then I drop it right away. Okay, let's go to the park now. I just drop it. Was I that perfect every single time? I doubt it, but that's how you do it perfectly. Stay real calm. So I probably messed up sometimes. I'm sure I did, but I was pretty good at it. I understood it because I had so much experience with kids before I had my own. It was easier. Everything's easy once you know how to do it, right? Oh, here we go. Brittany on YouTube, tips for bringing out the good kid. Be a leader. Play with them. Their love language is fun. Kids love language is fun. Parents these days tend to overpraise and underplay. You play with them and have fun with them in their world. You don't go to the nail salon with a 2-year-old. You watch how they play and join in. You enter their world. Play on their level. Get down on the ground. Play with them. Go to the park. Roll down the hill. I was the only mom at the park rolling down the hill with kids, probably rolling in dog poop and everything. But I got down on kids' level. It gives you power. They feel understood. They want to please you because you're fun, right? But if they'd ever acted out, I would have stopped right away, said no, and then I just would have got real boring real fast. So yeah, you bring out the good kid by playing with them, having fun with them. You deal with bad behavior, but you focus on the good kid. And the way you do that is you play with them. You don't have to be doing it all the time, but yeah, play more. Parents these days are overpraising and underplaying. What are your opinions on removing screen time completely, not as a consequence, just as a general rule? I don't have any opinion on that. That's a personal choice. It's like asking me about phones or any kind of screens or education or religion. It's a personal preference. Some of my clients don't have any screens at all. So they say, well, we can't do media blackout because we got no media. So we just find other stuff. They might have a train set that we can take away for a day or something. So, but yeah, I honestly have no opinion on that. That's your own personal choice. Should we homeschool? Should we mainstream? I don't know. That's your personal choice. It's like, should we co-sleep? That's your personal choice. Certain things are like that. What's interesting for me is sometimes I'll get, because I teach basically, I teach leadership parenting, but in some cultures, because I get clients from all over the world, in some cultures, they have certain beliefs and religions that conflict with my style. They'll still hire me. They want me to accommodate their different religions and cultures, and I have to work around that. And that's kind of challenging for me, but I would be very ignorant to not do that, and I'll tell you why. Because if I thought that our culture was the best way and the only way, I'd be a moron. There are so many wonderful cultures and wonderful religions and wonderful different ways out there that I like to make my methods fit into any of them. Not all of the methods. They're not going to take, like a lot of the dads will not be on that behavior board at all. The man of the house would never be accountable. I have to respect that. So, but yeah, that when I first started my business, I found that really challenging. Now I do, but I like it now. I like the fact that I have to work around different cultures and that. So yeah, I think it'd be ignorant to think that my way is the only way. It's all I teach, but in different cultures, I have to take that, in different religions, I have to take that into account. And I learn a lot. There's a whole bunch of, you know what I do think we're stupid with over here in North America is how we treat the different generations. We tend to not look after our elders. Like in other cultures, they all live like three or four generations together, and they all support, it's like a village, and they tend to all support each other, and they really respect those elders. So I have to take that into account sometimes. It's just fascinating. Like I think they've got that way over us. I really respect that. Practical tips to establish good leadership. Listening is probably the best skill you can have, is listening as they get older. When they're toddlers, they're just nuts anyway. But because you use consistent corrective actions when they're toddlers. When they turn 3, you can start to use accountability, which is the behavior board. And but yeah, listening is a really underrated skill. You listen to understand rather than gathering information to lecture with. Like my mom never told me what to do. I never told my kids what to do. Like if they came to me with a problem, I would have said, well, I don't know, you're smart, you can figure it out, and we'd talk about it. I might say, yeah, I remember when I was your age, I tried this. And then they might come up with something smarter. So I always encourage them to think for themselves. A good leader doesn't tell kids what to do. That's a dictator. A good leader encourages them to do their own problem solving and think things through. And you encourage them to have their own mind and their own say. Someone said to me, I was talking like that the other day. I don't know why I'm pointing. Someone said to me the other day, they said, well, then if you're leading, you should be telling them what to do. And I said, no, that's a dictator. That I don't see it as, that's the old-fashioned authority style parent. You guide them into making good choices. I used to tell my kids, here's the choice. You can either go to bed at 8 o'clock or not. There'll be a consequence if you don't. Like I made sure there's a consequence if they don't choose the right thing, if it was a dead set rule in the house. So I said, it's your choice. It's up to you. You decide. Whatever you do is totally up to you. I'll never tell you what to do. But if you make a poor choice, then there'll be a consequence. I used to tell them, if you're good, life is good. If you're bad, life ain't so good. I'll make sure of that because I'm your mom. That's my job. So yeah, they were just easy. They just understood. And they were proud of themselves. We had a happy, fun household because they never acted out. Why would they? Because I was a leader. The old-fashioned authority or a dictator, they build resentment in the teen years, and kids tend to rebel when they're teenagers. A leader, they don't. But the old-fashioned authority, it's not a bad way to parent because they come out the other end respecting what their parents did for them. If you're the newfangled pleaser parent style, your kids wipe their feet all over you, treat you like a dish rag, never respect you. They end up self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues, and they never respect you. They live at home forever. They're always asking you for money. Yeah, it's a disaster. That came out, the pleaser style parenting style, came out about 30, 40 years ago. I saw it coming. It came in with participation awards. I remember the first time I ever heard of a participation award. I couldn't even put my head around that. I thought, you mean they turn up and they get an award? Oh yes, there's no winners and losers. Um, yeah. So yeah. I remember, and I used to have a column in our newspaper here, a parenting column, and boy, did I ever get trashed for this article. But I went on and on and on about this. One mother she was in the front page news or something, and she had a fit. She was trying to sue the school. It was in the States. I'm here in Canada. It was in the States. She was trying to sue the school for not giving her child a participation award. They hadn't even turned up to the game. This kid wasn't even there. They didn't even participate, and she said that they were damaging her child by not giving them a participation award. Oh, it's hilarious. What does pleaser style parenting mean? It means that you never want to say no. You do the mini therapy sessions rather than just having a consequence. You tend to want to make everything easy for them. Those are the parents who go into school and are always at the teachers for not doing this and that with their children. It's everybody else's fault. They want everyone to cater to their little precious angel. And those kids they often are yellers too. Most pleaser parents end up yelling because they realize they're not getting any respect, so they resort to yelling. But heaven forbid, they're worried about their kids' self-esteem. And their kids' self-esteem is in the toilet. They just don't get it. That pleaser parent style was invented to please the mom, make her feel good. You never say no to your child. You make everything easy for them. Give them a participation award. If the teacher isn't nice to them, you go in and you tell the teacher that, it's all this, they're your dish rags, basically. There's no leadership. Your kids are lost. They're just lost. How do you give kids allowance essentially for free without breeding entitlement issues? I talk about that a lot. Go and check out, it's on TikTok, I think. I did a video, maybe a year ago. Allowance versus chores. I've talked about it a lot, but entitlement, because they got chores, so there's no sense of entitlement. You keep chores and allowance completely separate. All children deserve how to manage, save, and respect money. And you do so by giving them allowance with no expectations. And you just do it. You just pay them just because they're on this earth. They have to learn how to manage money. So you're teaching them how to do that. And you write it in a book. Look up my videos. I've got lots of videos on that, on allowance for kids and how you do it. But they don't have entitlement issues because they have chores. They have responsibilities. I have no memory of ever telling my kids to do homework. They knew that was a responsibility. I don't know. It just works. It just works. Yeah. I'm just wondering if you have any advice when parents don't agree on parenting and discipline styles. Thanks for all the advice. When I'm working with parents, this is what I see. If I've got both parents and they're both in the Zoom, all my coaching is done on Zoom. This is what I'll often see. One parent's like this, usually the mom. Not always, sometimes the dad, but usually the mom. One parent's like this. As soon as they meet me, and there's the other parent in the background. And I'm like, gee, I wonder who wanted to hire me. So what I do is I say, you're not on the same page. Totally respect that. Super common when people hire me. I say, I'm going to pick a leader and you defer to the leader. It's not always the one sitting forward. Often it's the one like this. It's the one I think I can get the best results with. And also I'm very considerate of the marriage. I look at I watch body language and I look at the marriage too. So I decide which is going to suit their marriage better, whoever I put in charge. It's just a weird call. I never know who I'm going to pick. I can't even explain how I do it. I get an instinct. And I pick a leader, the other one has to defer to them. And it's just the way we do it. So yeah. And if they argue it, I usually say, do you want your money back? Because I have to be in charge. If I don't take charge of the coaching, it doesn't work. So yeah. Anyway, that's how we do it. And then we have fun with it too. And then it just works. Don't quite understand. I sort of get what you mean. Need consequence help. 5-year-old likes chores, and I don't want to put TV or candy on a pedestal. So the media blackout, you don't want to take that away. You're not putting it on a pedestal. I don't quite know. I'd have to figure out what you mean by that. What's going on in your house that you'd ask me that? Or have you not even done it? You just have it in your mind. And by the way, I don't use candy or anything. I'm a real health food nut, so I don't use candy and I don't do rewards. I don't do a reward chart. I hate reward charts. Yeah. Do you want me to go on about that? Why I hate reward charts? Can't stand them. I think they're horrible. So yeah, candy never comes into it. I don't use food as a reward or punishment. So TV, yeah. Are you asking as like ahead of time? Because that doesn't make any sense to me. If you're already doing it and I'm guessing you haven't done it yet and you're worried about putting it on a pedestal because it's just not adding up to me. No one's asked, but I'm going to tell you anyway why I hate reward charts. Reward charts tell the child, this is the message you're sending. If you have a reward chart for good behavior, they work at school. School's an institution, totally different. Parenting, tons of my clients are teachers. So very different roles, parenting and teaching, very different roles. So reward charts work very well at school, but I don't know anything about school, so I teach parenting. The reward chart says to your child, you're normally rotten. If you should happen to be good, you'll get a reward. They send the wrong message. Anyway, and the behavior board says you're normally wonderful. If you should happen to do something bad, I know how to deal with it. Okay, so I got to go over to TikTok now. If you want to join me there, it's Bratbusters Parenting. If not, check out the link above here, and you can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses. They're all getting videos on them, by the way. 2 of them already have them. So if you've already bought them, go back and take a look at the tantrum and the potty training one. You know, I just finished doing all the videos for the potty training one. Within 5 minutes, I had no memory of which course I'd done it on. Because I say this stuff over and over and over again. I get it all in my head. I don't even hear myself anymore. I literally had to go back and see what videos I've just filmed. Isn't that crazy? I thought, am I getting dementia? Because I'm in my 60s now. It was that weird. Anyway, my big boot camp course also has videos throughout. Anyway, you can get the boot camp course 3 to 12 years old, or you can hire me for coaching. Anyway, happy parenting. Discard the video. Sorry, YouTube. I'm just moving over to TikTok now. Whoops. Live. Come on. There we go. Okay. This is Alina Eloise. On YouTube. Do you have any advice for how to get a 2-year-old in their car seat without a complete battle? No, I don't. I used to do the karate chop with my son. My son had tantrums, not all the time, but if we were leaving somewhere fun, he didn't want to go, he'd have a tantrum. Getting him in that car seat was murder. So what my friends and I used to call it a karate chop. They'd go stiff as a board. They'd actually be like that. You know how they go so stiff? They're like that. So anyway, he'd be in the car seat and I would just put my hand on his belly and I'd just wait calmly. As soon as he took a breath and weakened, I'd fold him in 2, snap him in like that. So yeah, it's just a battle. There's no way I'd let him get out of that car seat. He's staying in that, like near that car seat. Whereas his dad, my kid's father, he would be more likely to let them walk around for a minute first, but then they're winning. So yeah, there's no way he's not moving. He's going to stay near that car seat, and eventually I'm going to get him in it. And they learn who's in charge. But yeah, you just got to force them. But not in the moment. Like you can't actually force it. You just have to wait till they take a breath. It might take a while. But they eventually learn. I'm never going to win. Mom always knows what she's doing. So they just stop fighting you. That's what happens. Not right away, though. Toddlers take ages. Oh, that's so funny. That autocorrect. How do you handle collecting a 2-year-old for Biden? It's biting. Yeah, autocorrect. You obviously type in Biden. How do you 2-year-old from biting? Check out my Toddlers Who Bite, Hit, Etc. course. Basically, they're about consistent actions. And the first time they hit or bite, you say no, and then you push them away and then just walk away doing your own thing. And then when they go to do it again, you prevent them from doing it and you say no, and you restrain them for a minute or so. And then let them go. If they come at you again, just hold them again. Don't keep looking at them or talking to them, though. They'll eventually give up. But they don't learn the first time. They might learn the 50th time. Toddlers are about consistent corrective actions because they learn through repetition. Do not be tempted to do the mini therapy sessions. That you shouldn't bite. That hurts my feelings. That's garbage. That was invented to make the mom feel good. It has nothing to do with the toddler. It's actually a reward because you're talking to them, and it's just attention. Attention is reward. 7-year-old boy did not want to do homework. Yeah, they don't want to do homework. I told my kids, you got to do what you want to do or need to do before you can do what you want to do. So I used to say stuff like this. Of course you can watch TV. As soon as you finished your homework, I use the as soon as method all the time. So I use a lure. But I taught them, I said, look, you just got to do it. The sooner they learn this, the better. You got to do what you need to do before you can do what you want to do. A lot of adults can learn this too. And they learn that when they're young. So yeah, you got to do what you need to do before you can do what you want to do. So like my kids would never have turned on the TV. They always said, Mom, can we watch TV? And I'd say, sure, have you done your chores? As soon as you've done your, oh, okay. And then they'd run. But by that time, they already kind of knew. By 7, they wouldn't have asked. They would have just known. But yeah, so you got to teach them that they got to do what they need to do before they can do what they want to do. A lot of parents just, let them watch TV or whatever, and they haven't made their bed, or, you see, you kind of set them up for failure when you do that. How do I get my 3-year-old to not want her iPad so much? Well, just have a certain amount of time that she can use it per day. So, of course, they're going to want. You can't stop them from wanting it. You can stop them from having it. So, yeah, that's that pleaser parent style. Give them what they want. No, give them what they need and control what they want. Yeah, you can't stop them from wanting what they want, but you can stop them from having it. So say, no, it's not time. You know what happens, though, is that parents say, no, you can't have it, and then they keep at you. Okay, if I let you have it for 5 minutes. So in other words, they just went, boy, you're sure not a leader. They just win all the time. Parents give in all the time. You got to mean what you say and say what you mean. Like when I said something, my kids would never have argued because they knew when Mom said something, it was going to happen. Dad was more likely to give in. There's usually a pleaser, and if there's a leader, there's not usually 2 really strong leaders. There's usually one clear leader in the family. That was me. That was my mom. My dad was the pleaser. But because as you get older, you tend to follow more the leader anyway. So, but yeah, I remember once I said to my dad, and it was something I knew my mom wouldn't want me to have. But I thought she was out of earshot. So I was little, and I whispered to my dad, Daddy, can I please have that? And he said, sure, sweetie pie. He always called me sweetie pie. And I'm like this, oh, giddy. And then he said, let's just ask Mom first. And I went, oh, never mind. So it's okay. So as long as the pleaser parent defers to the leader, it all works out. But yeah, if they know that they can wear you down, you're not a leader. I remember once my kids are raised in Australia. They were born and raised there. And we were living in Brisbane. We went down the Gold Coast quite often to Dream World. It's this big, like a Disneyland. And we went, it's an hour's drive. And I was going down there with my son. He would have been about 3 or 4. And my friend, and she had her kids in her car because we had car seats. So we had to have separate cars. So we were meeting down at Dream World. So we met, and my son was in a mood. He just had a miserable look on his face when we got there. And I said to him, if you don't put a smile on your face, we're going to go home. And my friend went, uh-oh. And as soon as I said it, I thought, how stupid, because I would have driven home. And he went like this. And he put a phony smile on, then it turned into a real smile. But yeah, you got to say what you mean and mean what you say. Proper interacting for a 1-year-old and a newborn, there's no such thing. Proper interacting, there is no such thing. Supervise the newborn and don't leave the 1-year-old alone with the newborn. 1-year-olds do not understand concussions, soft spots, brain bleeds, broken arms. So yeah, there's no proper with a 1-year-old. They're just forming. They're brand new, fresh human beings. Watch them like a hawk. Never leave them alone. It's a true story. My son, he was 2 years old, and I had a friend who also had a 2-year-old little boy. And we'd met in the baby club. So then, you know how you kind of single off with those friends and that as the kids grow. And so anyway, both our boys were 2, and we got on really well because our boys were both very gentle. They weren't aggressive at all. So a lot of little boys and girls too can be very aggressive. So anyway, so we got together for play dates quite often because we both had very gentle, sweet little boys. And so it was just, we could just leave them alone and they'd play for hours, no problem. Anyway, she had this new little baby, and her little boy went in the bassinet and threw the baby on the floor. We were shocked. We just didn't think he'd do it. He didn't understand. He didn't know that that was mean. He just thought, you mean this thing is from the hospital, is coming home and taking my parents away from me, crying, stinking. They don't understand. You just have to watch them like a hawk. But we did not expect that from him at all. How do I help my 3-year-old to sleep during the night? Check out my Bedtime Battles course. It's from 2 to 8 years old, and it's up in the link, and it's called Bedtime Battles. It's how to get them in bed, then how to keep them there. That's the hard part, the second part to the course. So yeah, there's a whole process in how you do it. It's not pleasant. It's ugly. It's usually a night of sheer hell, but sorry about that. I love how I sell it, right? That's hell. I don't think I'll ever be hired for marketing. How to become the leader parent. Well, you can keep watching. That's all I talk about here. Oh, you can check out my course, the boot camp course. That's if you have a 3 to 12-year-old, teaches you, it's all on you. It's all leadership. That's all it is. It's not about the kids at all. It's all about you. And it teaches you how to be a leader in 5 weeks. It takes 5 weeks to learn this. And beyond. It doesn't just end. And you got to do maintenance throughout the years. You can't just say, okay, I'm a leader. Whoo, now I can sit back, have a cigarette, and let the kids just drive the car away. Like it's maintenance. But, I got respect with my kids when they were tiny. And then I just maintained it. And that was the easy part. Getting respect is hard if you've never had it, especially. But I got it when my kids were tiny and sailed right through the teen years. There's the odd hiccup, but nothing to write home about. So yeah, maintenance is easy. Getting respect is hard. Maintenance is easy. 1 year in tantrums. Yep. Can't stop a tantrum. No way. It's like a freight engine going down a hill. Is that right? A freight train, that's what I meant, not a freight engine. Have you ever seen anyone use those on the highway? They have those emergency, a downhill highway. Then they have those emergency turnoffs for trucks. I saw one do that once. You know how they have to use that to stop and it goes off. I thought, where are they going? And my dad had to explain what it was. Yeah, once the tantrum started, you can't stop it. And I don't really want to tell you what to do with a 1-year-old because you've got to wait it out. You really start managing tantrums, you ignore them. And you can use diversion with under 16 months old. 16 months I consider a toddler, 15 months and under I consider a baby. So you do ignore the tantrum, but you might want to go and sit and read a book out loud, their book out loud, and they'll crawl into your lap mostly. So it's indirect diversion. You don't say, here, do you want some candy? You just go over and do something fun, something that they like, something calm usually. And the idea is, but then once they've started a tantrum, they get so nuts, they completely lose their nuts. So you can't, that's when they listen. When's when they listen. I notice the way they talk. Okay. I notice I talk way too much, for example, ask them to clean room more than once when I start yelling. Okay. Yelling works beautififully short term, but it backfires down the road. So it's short term. That's why, I never yelled. I was never yelled at either. So maybe that's why it was easy for me not to yell because I'd never been yelled at. Yelling works in the short term, but only when you don't know what else to do. I teach what else to do. And most clients yell. Most of my clients yell. So when they hire me, I say, do you yell? And if a client says, no, we don't yell, it throws me off because it's so rare that people don't yell because it works in the short term. It'll backfire big time down the road. Builds resentment. It also hurts. It scares them. They build up a skin like a shell if they get yelled at all the time, but inside, internally, it's doing something to them. Oh, I don't discuss daycare. I only teach parenting. Someone said, your teachings work. Thank you. Yeah, that's why I'm here. They do work. But sometimes people are derailing it, not knowing why. There's sometimes people will hire me and they'll say, oh, it's just not working. I did the behavior board, it didn't work. And then they'll say, I know we did something wrong. And sure enough, there's just something that they're just doing wrong. So I can't always, you can get the courses and all that, but oftentimes with teenagers, if you eye roll, you will derail anything else you're going to do right. One eye roll can ruin a whole year with a teenager. Do never eye roll. They're doing something you don't like and parents act really calmly and they do everything I say and then they'll finish it up like this. Oh, talk about an accelerator with a teenager. And I'll point that out. I'll say, well, you tell me what went wrong. I did everything you said. I did, and show me. I said, pretend I'm them, act it out. And then they'll go like that, and they can't even help themselves. They go, so anyway, that's what I want to happen. Do you understand? And then they'll go like this. And I'll go, there you go. That's what went wrong. But yeah. It's human. It's understandable. I understand why you do. I know why you yell. I know why you eye roll. You are justified in doing those things because kids can drive you nuts, but they're not going to work. That's the thing, is it's not like I'm saying you're not right. Kids are different though. You are justified in yelling. I get it. I understand it, but it ain't going to work. So. I have to go in 10 minutes. Someone just messaged me. They're going to be here soon. I'm a vegan, but I've got meat in my pressure cooker. It smells delicious. I won't eat it, but it smells delicious. Do you think parent-child interaction therapy is effective? I don't know what interaction therapy is at all. I play with kids, but I don't know what you mean by that. Words are too big for me. I keep it simple. Yeah, I play with kids in their world, always in their world. Never expect a child to find their inner adult. You don't go to the nail salon with a 3-year-old. You can do that once in a while, but you go to the park and roll down the hill with them. Enter their world. They look at you differently. If kids think that you like them enough to enter their world and do what they like, they feel more special and more love than at any other time. Play and fun is their love language. It's not praise. It's not taking them to the playground and watching them play. It's playing with them on the playground. That is their love language. Pickled salsa. Entered their world has changed my life. I hear it all the time with coaching. You know how many parents hire me and they've never played with their kids? They take them places. I'm playing with them all the time. Just the other day, I took them so-and-so and watched them at the park, and they were on their phone while their kids were playing. I said, no, you get in the mud and play with them, and you see the difference. I love this story. This one mom had never played with her child before. Like, she was a great mom, but she'd never actually played in that child's world. Anyway, he loved Lego, and mom's punishment for yelling was playing Lego for 30 minutes. Anyway, the next time I saw her, she had a big smile on her face. And I said, what? And she said, I didn't play Lego for 30 minutes. And I said, what? You know, she had to. That was part of it. You have to yell so that you play Lego for 30 minutes. She goes, I played for 3.5 hours. She'd never played with him before. And they were just like, they didn't get along at all. He was older. They just didn't get along. And he ended up sitting right up against her, and they played for 3. He'd never felt more special, more treasured, more loved, and he was good as gold after that. So think about that. There's a real message in that. So yeah, their love language is fun. Playing in their world. If you love them enough to enter their world, everything starts to change. Doesn't that make sense? Here we go. So much time in their world, so few tantrums. Yeah, once they feel, they just look at you differently. That was my gift. I was very good at connecting with kids. I started volunteering in daycare centers when I was 11. And they always, even the daycare ladies would say, how do you do that? They want to be with you all the time, but they respect you. I was entering their world. I was playing with them. But if they did something I didn't like, I'd say, oh, no, you don't do that. So we'll just be quiet for a minute. And I would just be quiet. I didn't know how to explain what I was doing, but I was a leader and I was fun. You got to be fun. It's not about discipline. It's about connecting. You discipline bad behavior, but then you focus on the good kid. If you're always focusing on the bad behavior, that becomes their identity. You want their identity to be the good kid, the kid that you like playing with, that you like connecting with. Teenagers, you like having fun with, using humor. I used humor with teenagers. So, I used to mentor troubled teens. They're the ones who told me, they said, you got to teach this, Lisa. No one's ever talked to us like you do. Because I really respected the fact that I didn't expect them to meet me where I was. I met them where they were. I respected them enough to meet them in their world. Oh, that makes me want to cry. I love those teenagers. They taught me more about life than anyone else ever has. About patience. I didn't know I had that much patience. Because they tried me. They tested me initially. So anyway, I got to get going. I've got people coming over. So thanks so much for joining me. Check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses. 2 of them now have videos attached to them. The potty training one. Shoot. No. Oh, I can't remember which one. Yeah, the potty training one is, and the tantrum one. They both have videos. They all will eventually. But anyway, those 2 have videos. And the big boot camp course, 3 to 12 years old, that has videos now. So even if you've finished it, you can go back and check out the new videos. And then, or you can hire me for coaching. Anyway, I got to go, and happy parenting. Take care.